January 29th, 2025. And we are the Hollister School District Board and Interim Superintendent, ready to conduct our board meeting, and I hereby call the meeting to order. Let's do roll call. Ms. Kathy.
Here.
Mr. May. I'm here.
Here.
And Jan is
Will be joining us.
and I'm here. So we're all here. So do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? Public comments for closed session. Do we have any public comments for closed session?
Don't see any? Nope. Now I make a motion to convene a closed session. Oh, second?
Alrighty, and do we need a roll call on that? No? Okay. Shall we continue?
Yes.
Meeting is
Aye.
called to closed session at 4:31.
Yep.
Oh, sweetie. Wait for Daddy. He'll help.
Hi.
The host has asked, "Are you ready to start video?"
Boring. Now, can I turn the TV on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No, this isn't working. Uh,
All righty, we're ready to call the meeting to order. It's January 29th, 2025. This is the Hollister School District Board meeting. And I'd like for us all. Can you hear me? Sorry, I've had an ear infection and I don't know if I'm yelling or not. So if I'm yelling, just raise your hand. Anyway, we're calling the meeting to order. And would you all please stand up for the flag salute? Ready, salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to move on to our community and staff recognition, and it is Lindsay, correct?
We do have a slideshow. Good evening. I'm Janina Stoya, the principal at Loud Lane. This is Jeff Aguirre, my assistant principal. And we're here tonight to honor and recognize our reading intervention team at Loud Lane. They work with our students from kindergarten to 5th grade, which is quite a feat. And they are doing an amazing job. And we also have some students that have made tremendous growth in reading thanks to this team. So after we call up our staff members, we'll be calling up some students as well.
Yeah.
Right? Do I use this?
We're gonna have everybody on the boards.
Yeah, so when I call your name, you can come stand up here, and then if you could please stay up here until all the students also get up so we can take a picture.
Take a part, huh?
Am I in control of that, or are you? This?
Yeah, down.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So I did include some pictures here. If you haven't seen our intervention team in action, it's quite interesting. It's a well-oiled machine now, but it took some work to get there. So in these 3 pictures, you'll see that we have a teacher outside with about 30 students doing PE. In the middle, well, on the right-hand side, we have a large group of students working with a teacher or an instructional assistant doing Lexia. Those are our 2 big groups. And having those 2 big groups out of the classroom allow for that centerpiece, which is our small group reading instruction. There's 3 instructors in that
Hay
classroom
3
working with
instructores
about
en
5 students.
esta aula.
So as you can see,
Como
it's
ustedes
quite the
podrán
process.
ver,
So, all
es
right,
bastante
first
grande.
up, down. There we go. Oh, went too far. I have to be patient, I guess. All right, Maria Plemons. Sorry, you're first. Tracy Maywald. Anissa Bezetta. Chelsea Farrow. Lori Wright.
Not you.
Maria Garcia. Myra Palacios. And Rosa Marta.
All right, I get the privilege of announcing our students. And again, these students have made tremendous growth in this past year, and almost 2/3 of a year. Some of them have made over a year's worth of growth, thanks to this team right up here. So it's a celebration for you guys as well. So first up, we have Gus Hayton. All right, next up we have David Fonseca. Next star reader we have is Camila Perez. Next up, Frida Zavalos. Next star reader we have is Scarlett Gilbert. Next up, star reader Felix Guevara. Next star reader we have is Cameron Johnson. Next up, star reader, we have Roxanne Arredondo. Next star reader is Dominic Banuelos. Our next star reader, Ileana Chavez Gonzalez. Next star reader we have is Scarlett Gilbert. Next up we have Noe Flores. All right, next up star reader we have is Seho Hori. And last but not least, star reader Miles Newell. right, again, we want to just give them all a great round of applause for all the hard work they've done. Let's stay there for a picture.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Good to see you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, agenda item number 8. There are no announcements from closed session. So we'll move on to number 9 on the agenda, and that is for us to approve the agenda. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And a second? Thank you, roll call vote. Ms. Toasty? Aye. Ms. Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez? Aye. And me is an aye. Oh, Jan, I'm so sorry. Would you like to approve the agenda, Jan?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. I'll try not to forget you again.
That's
Okay, moving on to item number 10, which is public comments. Trustee Martinez is going to help us out with public comments tonight in our clerk's Zoom status.
Yes, so, public comment parameters. We want to welcome everyone to the Hollister School District Board of Trustees meeting. Members of the audience are invited to address the board on any subject on tonight's agenda when the item is being addressed. During regular board meetings, the public may also speak to the board on subjects not on tonight's agenda during public comments. To help the board conduct their meetings efficiently, the board asks that if you wish to comment to the board tonight, you complete a speaker's card, present the card to the board clerk prior to the item being discussed by the board. Wait to be called upon to speak, come to the podium and state your name. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 15 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of the speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Board Policy 9323, speakers are advised that their speech may be open to civil liability, defamation, etc., if it involves complaints against staff. Speakers in this instance are encouraged to speak with the complaint officer or the superintendent about the complaint process. Policy 1312.1. So the first person that could please come to the podium is Amanda Chiadon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
And your 3 minutes will be on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Great to see all of you. Happy New Year. Hello, Superintendent Ward and esteemed Board of Trustees. My name is Amanda Chiato, and I'm the Director of Arts Education for the San Benito County Arts Council. I'm here in gratitude this evening. I'm here to thank you, the Hollister School District, for your ongoing partnership in supporting our arts and education program. We are thrilled to report that over 4,200 students, Hollister School District students in grades TK through 8th grade, have the opportunity to get their hands dirty and make art through this program. Our team of experienced and committed teaching artists are deployed every day to classrooms throughout the district, teaching a total of 174 art classes per week. We are using the state-adopted Art of Education University curriculum that explores lots of mediums and themes, and it's very dynamic and culturally responsive. In addition, in the first part of the year, HDLA, Sunny Slope, Rancho Santana, and Sierra Vista, they successfully participated in our ukulele and song and dance programs. Many had culminating performances around the holidays, which was a really joyful celebration. Our Hardin, Loudlane, and Calaveras have just begun these programs with performances planned for the spring. Finally, I got to take the beautiful tour of the new artwork that's up for the rotating exhibition at the district, and all of that artwork is from Sierra Vista, and it's just so fun to see year after year how they're just getting better and better at their skills. Students are busy right now creating artwork for the County Art Showcase. Last year, over 80% of the artwork exhibited was from the Hollister School District's Artists in the Schools program. This year, we've been focusing on developing, adapting, and modifying art lessons for students with special needs. And I want to thank the school district for helping us providing professional development support for us in this area. We continue to see the positive impacts of these programs on Hollister School District school communities, including student gains in creative skills and confidence in art making. Classroom teachers often communicate to me when I visit that the art programs have a positive impact on social and emotional learning. The Artists in the Schools program supports a creative school climate that is focused on solutions, and this approach to learning supports all academic areas and all students. At our staff meetings, I get the great joy of hearing all the stories of student breakthroughs in the art classrooms, like one student who was able to communicate their feelings about gender inequity, or another student who was in a special needs classroom who never participated in art class, but finally found his voice through an art making activity about his passion, cars. We want to express our deep gratitude to the board, to the district, to Colleen Myers, who's been a fantastic partner of ours over the years, and our relationship continues to grow stronger over the 6 years that we've been partners, and we see the impacts in every school community. We look forward to sharing our final report with you in the spring, where we'll present the Art Excellence Awards again this year, and we just want to thank you for making a difference in students' lives each and every day through the arts. Thank you.
Next speaker, Denise McNett.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Ward. My name is Denise McNett, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at the Accelerated Achievement Academy. Tonight, I'd like to speak to you about the district's commitment to increasing math proficiency among all our students and our partnership with the county in implementing San Benito County Math Initiative. This, as I am sure you'll agree, is an urgent issue that concerns all our students, parents, and teachers, and is something that needs to be addressed immediately. At the board meeting on December 17, 2024, Dr. Myers presented the dashboard data for the district, which showed that less than 25% of our students are meeting or exceeding standards in math. This is more than 12% below the average in California. At the same meeting, she mentioned many ways in which the district is addressing the lack of progress our students are making. She spoke about a partnership with the high school, the implementation of the Zern computer program, and STAR assessments for the lower primary grades. Although I believe that these things are all a step toward meeting the needs of our students and teachers, I also believe that an even greater commitment to the San Benito County Math Initiative is essential to help our students achieve greater success in meeting the math standards. As a veteran teacher of nearly 30 years, I have seen programs, curriculum, and strategies come and go. Since I started in the district, we have Tried and Let Die, Mathland, Excel Math, MyMath, Mountain Math, Daily Math, Eureka, or Engage in New York. We have put students on the computer with IXL, Prodigy, Khan Academy, YesDMath, Accelerated Math, and Zern, all with limited success. The data have shown that it just does not matter which textbook, curriculum, computer program, or standardized assessment we use. The only proven way to improve student success in math is to improve instruction. It is the teachers, not the curriculum programs, that have the most impact on student learning. Our teachers, both new and veteran, need to be coached in strategies and best practices to teach students effectively. Just as professional athletes have coaches, our professional educators need and deserve coaching from qualified and trained staff. The 1 or 2 math methodology classes that educators are required to take in college often do not prepare them for the daily demands of instructing 30 or more students to meet the rigorous state standards we have in California. One of the core beliefs of the SBCMI program is that teachers should receive regular coaching by their peers in a collaborative and non-evaluative manner. The person who evaluates you simply cannot be the same person as the one who coaches you. Currently, there is one coach provided to the county by the high school and one provided by the county office to coach any and all teachers who are interested in improving their math instruction. With over 150 teachers in the district, not to mention all the teachers from the county schools, these coaches are being stretched way too thin. There's just no way that all the teachers who wish and need to participate in SBCMI can receive coaching from a trained and qualified person, which is 2 coaches available. I strongly believe that hiring trained coaches is the first thing that the district needs to do in order to help the students improve and meet their potential in math. I propose that the district find and dedicate funding to hire at least 1 coach per grade level band in order to provide necessary support to the educators in our district. These coaches should be made available to all who are interested in improving their math instruction, perhaps on a rotating basis per site, so that they can help develop the skills necessary to implement best practices in math. With coaches available, teachers can collaborate with trained peers on lesson design, aligned assessments, and remediation, and have common language for the implementation of best practices. Perhaps then our students will begin to realize their potential. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Ward. I also want to take a few minutes to talk about the SBCMI program. The San Benito County Math Initiative was first brought to San Benito County in 2010, and during the 3 years of that program, we saw our math scores improve by 10%. Since that time, we have had such a large turnover in our teachers that there are very few teachers who went through what we now call SBCMI 1.0. Some teachers, like myself, have picked up on the strategies through collaboration with trained teachers, but most of our teachers have not received specific content professional development, which is one of the goals of SBCMI. The SBCMI model requires ongoing content professional development, ongoing math coaching, development of lesson design, and common formative assessments to inform instruction. Professional development has been offered this year, but it has been offered during what is supposed to be our protected planning time on extra early Thursdays. It has also been offered only to our 5th through 8th grade teachers, while this summer we will have Summer Institute starting at our K level. The fact that this professional development is happening on extra early Thursdays means that teachers are having to choose between their planning time and professional development. At Mays, we have seen the benefits of having this ongoing professional development because we've had the unique opportunity to have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students coming into our classes straight from an elementary school classroom this year. We have noticed a lack of cohesive mathematical vocabulary and strategies because most of our elementary teachers have not been coached in the same strategies as many of our middle school math teachers. Students are coming to us with a lack of number sense, and in some cases, inaccurate number sense, such as students believing that 3 divided by 3 equals 0 instead of being equivalent to 1. The SBCMI model also requires ongoing coaching. Being the biggest participating district, we should be hiring our own math coach, and indeed several, so that the county math coach can be available to the smaller districts who may not have the resources to hire their own coach. Additionally, we've tried to utilize our county math coach this year, but because she is stretched so thin, we have seen her once a week for maybe half of the period, and none of that time is to debrief what we've been working on her with. So it's very ineffectual time. The lesson design and common assessment components are part of every professional development session, especially during our summer institutes, and we hope that the district will pay for any math teacher who chooses to attend the summer institute. We hope that the board will encourage the district to hire math coaches specifically for our district next year, so that we may more faithfully participate in the SBSCMI 2.0 County Initiative. Thank you.
Next speaker, Darcy Pistola.
Hi there, I'm Darcy Christabel. I teach first grade at R.L. Hardin. I'm here in support of our school district's undocumented families and students. I'd like to ask why Hollister School District hasn't issued a statement of safe haven like our high school district has and as many other school districts in our area have. Our silence screams to our families that they are invisible and aren't important. These families are terrified that they will be uprooted, displaced, and torn apart, and we can't even give them an ounce of support. We have families that are missing IEPs, awards assemblies, family nights, and won't even walk their students to school in fear of being harassed or abducted by immigration. And while the county did hold an informational press conference about immigration on Saturday, it appeared to be only advertised on Parent Square in English only and was not attended by any administration from Hollister School District. Their absence was missed. This nonchalant attitude screams that we don't care about the safety and wellness of our families. I urge you to issue a statement of safe haven and further protect our students and families from immigration enforcement today. Thank you.
Next speaker is Anissa Akuna. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anissa Acuna, and I'm a middle school teacher at Lad Lane. Currently, I am teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math. Earlier this year, I was asked to be a part of the Math on Track team with high school, and over the summer, I attended the SBCMI training, which has changed my love for math, which I already loved. I have been in the district for 5 years, and while being in the district, I have noticed that math altogether has been declining due to the lack of leadership in the math department. Most schools have a literacy coach or reading specialist that helps with upper and lower elementary school students, which they're doing an amazing job at, I can't deny. Yet the subject of math does not have a coach or a math specialist to help support the students that struggle in math. Since this is my first year teaching all middle school levels of math, I've been working very closely with the math coach from the county. However, she is very busy and works with 33 teachers, 17 schools, 7 Hollister School District schools, and 18 Hollister School District teachers. She's a very busy and sometimes unable to spread her support when needed the most, but she surely does try her best. With working with her, she has taught me so much. She has provided me with examples, observed my classes, taught in my classes, and even worked with my students. It's been great. Now what we need in the district is for someone to work closely with the math teachers at each grade level or school site to find ways to improve math altogether. What I find is that all math teachers have different ways of teaching math or different math strategies, but overall we want the same thing for our students. We want to find ways to help them feel successful in math. In having a math coach, we would have a central person to help and support us so that we are teaching the same strategies all the way through the grades. They would help observe and critique teachers so that they could become better teachers for their students. They could help with small interventions with the students that struggle in math. They would also be able to work with the county or other school sites since most teachers can't leave to go observe classes and observe other math teachers. Now, the ultimate goal would be a math specialist at each site, but for right now, I believe it is beneficial for a math coach to show how it would change the math program in just the district. Thank you. Next speaker, Rochelle Domezio. I'm sorry if I didn't say that correctly. Domezio.
So originally I was going to talk about SBCMI, but I actually want to second what Darcy has said. So if I could change the topic.
To Safe Haven?
Or yes, or yeah. This past Saturday, the Latino Coalition of San Benito County held a press conference on immigration in downtown Hollister. It was inspiring to see, excuse me, a representative from Gavilan College in attendance. She spoke about the importance of educating the community on immigrant rights and providing access to legal services. In fact, Gavilan provides free immigration legal services to their employees and to their students. Additionally, an administrator of San Benito High School was present and shared the steps the school has taken to protect its students, including the recent passage of a safe haven resolution on January 18th. However, it was deeply disappointing that no representative from Hollister School District was present. When the president of the Latino Coalition called for an HSD representative to come to the podium, no one stepped forward. As the largest employer in the county, serving thousands of students every day, HSD's absence sent a troubling message. It was a missed opportunity to publicly affirm the district's support for the immigrant community. I urge the board to take meaningful action, pass a safe haven resolution, as San Benito High School has done. Review and strengthen board policies related to immigration, which we already have. Most importantly, provide training on immigrant rights and emergency responses for students, families, and staff. We must be prepared to defend every child's right to a free and equitable education, ensuring that all feel safe, supported, and valued within our school. And I feel like that was probably the most important message that I could relay today, but I would also like to say that I've been participating in the SBCMI county program, and I absolutely love all of the trainings, and we would really appreciate a math coach as well. Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Ethan Easterlund.
Hello, Superintendent Ward and esteemed board. I'm here today as the HESA president speaking on behalf of the TK teachers who sent me with this message. We, the HESD TK teachers, wish we could have had you in our TK classrooms during Christmas break. You see, we needed help with manpower. Let me back up. This year we were granted state funds to add new additions and furnishings to our TK classrooms. Our shipments arrived over the break, and in order to be ready for students to come to an appropriate classroom in the new year, we had to take off a day off from spending time with our loved ones to arrange and organize our classrooms. Some of us have existing furniture that needed to be emptied and switched out and rearranged. A class set of chairs or other pieces of storage furniture that needed to be grouped, filed, and organized. Not to mention some centers to prepare. We were so excited. The catch? We needed to finish it all in 3 hours. If we wanted to be compensated for our time, we will be given 3 hours of pay to work in our classrooms. What message does this incentive leave with you? What do you think of if you were in our situation? 3 hours. We're sure this was an oversight, or maybe hindsight's 20/20. Or did you knowingly make this decision and decide 3 hours of pay is compensation enough? They'll figure out the rest, and delegate its completion, fully aware that dedicated employees would be placed in such a precarious position. It's time to consider fair compensation over this issue. I polled the TK teachers and asked them how much time they actually put in over their Christmas break. I haven't heard from all of them, but I haven't had a single one, and I've heard from a majority of them, who put in less than 12 hours of their own time during Christmas break.
8 hours. 8 hours. I did 8 hours.
There's another one who put in 8 hours, and most of them brought family and friends who basically worked for free to get it done. They couldn't leave it in their classrooms. I have pictures from one of my TK teachers who took a picture of all the boxes in her room. I don't know how she would have taught in her room if she didn't come in on her own time to deal with the furniture and all of the things that she had to do to get her classroom back into shape to have students in the room. So I hope you consider making sure that they're appropriately compensated for the amazingly hard work they did on their own time. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment. We're going to move to item number 11 on our agenda, and it's the reports. First up is our superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, and it's nice to see everybody tonight. This is always my opportunity to talk about the district and highlight some of the great work that's going on throughout the Hollister School District. And we always start with the same slide. The board and community has seen this many times. What I did add to it tonight that's a little bit different, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have, for example, if you look at Sierra Vista, the current population for Sierra Vista is 213. That's down 2 students since I last reported to the board and to the community in December, and then so on. So Oro Hardin is up 5, and Sunny Slope is up 8. And then if there's no number there, for example, AAA has stayed at 153. So I wanted to add that in, and then over on the left of the slide, then you can see that since our last report on this, the school district is up by 23 students. So we're moving, we're growing for sure. And then currently the ADA is at about 94%, which was reported at the joint board meeting with the high school. Okay, something to highlight that we are excited about is the Extended Learning Opportunities grand opening, and the date is there. We've shared this with the public. It's this Thursday at Sunny Slope School at 3:30, where we will celebrate the opening of this new classroom at Sunny Slope, as well as we do have those buildings opening at Calaveras and Lathrop as well. That's good news for us. Okay, so we had mention of TK and kinder registration. The dates are set for that. Our office staff and sites and teachers and everybody are preparing for that as we enroll the students for the upcoming school year, which it seems so interesting to talk about it at this time of year, but we have to prepare for August as we look forward to that and welcoming students, of course, that are obviously a bit younger with the new age requirements. So but all that information has gone out to community, and we're looking forward to that registration. Okay, next up is the Hollister Halftime. We're excited to announce this event this Saturday at Sunny Slope School, and this has been organized by the Ed Services Department and Dr. Myers and all of her team. It's just been a massive effort to, currently we have about 300 families registered to attend the event. And as a district, we've really been working on outreach to the community, communication with families, trainings. It's a focus of the district and of the board. And this is a testament to that. This Saturday, there'll be trainings for adults as well as students. And some of the examples are, there's trainings on workshops on self-care, on art, dangers of social media, which is an important one in today's world. Even the science of baking, which sounds good. There's a gaming truck for students, and then I'm just naming off a few, and then the Explorer program that will be presented by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. So we're excited about that, and if anybody else still wants to register, there will be a walk-up table at Sunny Slope on Saturday morning, and they can register on the spot. And if there's still space left in some of those workshops, the parent and or child can be assigned to that. There's also food being served and daycare being provided. So it's a big event for the whole community, and we're excited about that. And then a couple other things to highlight, some upcoming trainings, one on the 5th of February that talks about classroom management, and then another one on March 3rd, which talks about the note-taking process as it helps students learn. And then, this is along the lines of communication and open communication with the community. We have our LCAP meetings, and we also have already had 2 of those. The first one, as you can see, there was on January 13th at Calaveras and AAA, where we engage with the community, and Dr. Myers walks us through the LCAP. and those spending priorities, and more importantly, receive feedback and input from the community that attends those. In addition, if you look on the Hollister School District website, there's some videos on there that have been recorded that explains the LCAP. So if somebody can't come out to the meetings, they can click on that and watch that presentation. The next one that just took place this week was at Mays Middle School, which was on January 27th. And then upcoming for our LCAP meetings is at Ladd Lane Elementary on February 3rd. That's a morning meeting. We've tried to stagger. We've done some evening meetings and some morning meetings to try to make it accessible to as many people as possible. And then we wrap them up at Sunny Slope Elementary on February 10th. That's an evening one at 5:30. And then our final one, February 24th, at Rancho Santana, back to another morning meeting. And these have been put out on Parent Square and the school websites. So we look forward to any members of the community that haven't been able to attend to come to these meetings and give us their feedback and input. And then, of course, you can the feedback can be done by scanning that, using the scanning process and doing the feedback that way. But while we're at the meetings, we're taking notes in real time with the community's feedback as well. So just a lot of different options, and this is just some examples of all the great things that are going on in the Hollister School District, and that is the end of my superintendent's report for this evening.
So I think the only thing that, at one of the first one, parents were also encouraged, if you cannot make it on a particular day, you can always show up at a different location at a different time that maybe suits you and your schedule. So it isn't specifically just set in cement and you're not in that school, you can't show up. No, we want people to show up. If you can't make it at one site, please, we encourage you to go to a different meeting that does work for you.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions or comments? Cheryl?
Yeah, are there additional meetings that are set up for staff?
Yes.
So the videos that are on the website in English and Spanish are also been sent to school sites. So they are sending their agenda, they are showing it to their staff, and they can provide feedback there. So every staff meeting at every school will have at least the preview of the video.
And they can use the QR code to submit feedback as well.
Also, school site councils, DLAC, our PAC meeting has access to the video. It's just a recording of the presentation.
Anybody else? Jan, did you have any questions or comments about the superintendent's report? No? Okay. Moving on. All right. We're going to move on to agenda item number 13. These are our consent items. And do I have a motion to approve consent items A through Q?
I make a motion to accept consent items A through Q.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And Trustee Grist?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on now to agenda item number 14, approval of board meeting minutes from December 17th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of December 17th, 2024.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Trustee Grist?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to agenda item 15, which are discussion and action items. First one up is discussion and approval of board policy and administrative regulation updates presented by Les Wilson.
Thank you. I'm mostly just here to answer any questions that you might have on the board policy updates. The bulk of them are from CSBA. There is one that is organic that we networked from another district, but that's on the board policy sheet. And this is kind of a scattering of the various different policies that are required to be updated between June of '24 through December of '24. Remember, they come out with updates on a quarterly basis. So we've sort of picked some pretty hot topics, and as we go through, I'm trying to clump them together, but there were a series of sort of odd ones, and I just put them together for this one.
Do any of the board members have any comments or discussion? Trustee Chris?
On AR 1114, page 376, and it is in regards to district-sponsored social media. And it talks about users, I'm at number 2, and it says, users shall use the site only for those intended persons. And I'm curious about, well, who are the intended persons?
I believe
maybe
it reads, users
I
shall
missed
use the
something
site
here.
only for those intended purposes, not persons.
Oh, purposes. Okay, so I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Maybe that's if I would have read correctly.
Okay, small letter.
I mean, so what kind of how are we doing what are we talking about here in regards to? Are we talking like Facebook, or what do we
We do
mean
have
by
a
social
Facebook
media?
account. We do have a Facebook account, and school site Facebook's accounts are linked to the district Facebook account. So they all come under the umbrella of the district's Facebook account in order to share information about the good things that are going on at the various different school sites in the district.
Okay, so does the board, do the school sites have to get permission from the board before they start a social account?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I know that they've had them for a while, and we brought them all into the one umbrella.
No, this says it's brand new.
The policy is new. The Facebook accounts are not new. We have had them, but the policy is new.
Well, this talks about Twitter and Snapchat and.
Because various different districts, this is a CSBA policy first, so this is
Right.
not honed in for only what the district has. This is CSBA addressing all of the various different social media accounts that school districts might have.
So does it mean that the district has the account, or that we're giving staff and students access to these accounts?
I'm going to refer that to Brandon to answer more specifically.
It's kind of the district did it and helped absorb the accounts that were already created under district names and kind of took ownership of them. And then now I think the district's making it an official policy in regards to the accounts and what's been created already. But the district has the ownership.
Which then means the district has the guidance and the oversight on that.
Okay, so that's where I'm, concerned with liability of who's monitoring those things and who's posting, who has authority to post. How is it vetted before it goes out?
Just principals, and that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, it says school level employees such as teachers and coaches shall obtain authorization from the school principal before creating an official social media account. But then from there, the teacher or coach can put whatever they want on.
Well, that's not exactly true. They can't put whatever they want. It has to fall under this regulation as to the guidelines of what's appropriate
Right.
and what's not appropriate. And right now, we don't have anyone other than principals who have an account for their school. That's an official one. That does not mean that other people haven't done something else out there, because it's the wild world out there. But the district's official Facebook account, and as an umbrella over the ones that are official for the school sites, are only have access by the principal. Now, teachers or coaches may suggest something to post there, but the principal is the one, as we understand it, that's doing that.
I don't know. I think that the board needs to talk about this a little bit more, maybe before we, I don't know how the other board members feel, but we've got here at Snapchat and YouTube and Twitter and X, and there seems just to be a lot of exposure for us. Am I just being old fuddy-duddy here, or?
I'm in agreement with Jan. I think we're not quite really sure what oversight there is when something gets posted. having a PR person write that. But I know that we have different sites, so it's a lot to manage as well, because each individual site has its own thing happening. And that one person cannot be at all places at all times, right? But again, it does worry me as far as liability. And how would the superintendent know if something, you know, I know, I'm just trying to look out for that possibility of something we weren't quite sure went out, and it may come to, I don't know, to our level.
Maybe we can make this a future report.
Is it possible that to pull specifically this board policy?
Absolutely.
And let us, I personally would like to talk to our legal counsel. There's so much about the different sites that, like Twitter, et cetera, that I don't use them. So, I think would that be all right? I think that.
That's what the board desires, certainly.
Absolutely. Would, somebody want to, as president, can I make a motion? Okay.
Well, okay, before you do that, you
Yes,
need to
ma'am.
look at the rest of them and ask the rest of
Yes.
the questions, and
Go
then I vote to approve all but,
Okay.
or to hold for further, because they're all in one.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay. Well, I did have a question on page 395.
Policy?
There was a blank. It says,
Policy, Jim.
I'm getting there.
I think I know which one it is.
Yeah,
And I
hold
was going
on.
to address that before you made your motion. So Jan, I believe it's AR 5145.71.
Yes, yes.
And again, this is a new policy for the board, and there were blanks, and I forgot to fill in the blanks. So what it is the policy on sexual, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment complaint
Yes.
procedure. And so what the policy, as a new policy, was looking for is the number of days between the time something is reported and we'll start an investigation, the length of time that the investigation will take to complete, and then after it's completed, what is the length of time until we get a report. So I did forget to fill in those blanks. It goes on for pages and pages. But the intent is that it aligns with our uniform complaint procedure. So within 10 days, and I'm going to recommend that you adopt it with these adjustments in it because it's not actually written there. Within 10 days of receiving a report of such harassment, that an investigation will be started, that investigation will be completed within 60 days, and that within 10 days of the completion of that investigation, a report will be submitted.
So we'll do that on that page, and then on page 399, the same thing, 10 days?
Yeah, it's 10 and then 60 in the next blank spot, and then 10 in the last blank spot.
Okay, got it.
And thank you for catching that earlier today. I appreciate that.
So, we all need help, especially me.
Yes, and I know I sent a lot of questions.
And that was
about things.
fantastic.
So-
I actually feel good, no offense to anybody, but she asked so many questions that I knew that she read them all.
So, and I appreciate all of your answers. One of your answers, I still have a question.
Certainly.
About, and that's related to, BP 5415.7, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment, specifically regarding students. And
What page?
I don't know the page.
It's policy 5415.7. It's right before the AR that you had your question on.
Okay.
My question was about students and how can they get educated about what constitutes sex-based harassment and discrimination on their part versus receiving information. And my perception, having been a middle school teacher especially, is that our kids don't know what that is until they get caught. And then, it's going to the principal or something because somebody's made a complaint. and they say, oh, you can't say that, oh, you can't do that, and that's their education. 'Cause it seems to be kind of a gotcha, because so much of what they do is so common in their cultural experience, and they don't know that it's against our rules, our norms, what's acceptable. And so I'm wondering, is there a way, a packaged little packet or something that, you know, starting, I don't know, 5th grade on up, or even kindergarten on up, you know, what is appropriate interpersonal communication and physical contact, and what is not, what rises to that occasion?
And that's a great question. The policy actually says that students will be provided with the information and education on. It doesn't specifically say what kind of education, although it's intended to be age-appropriate education. And I think that perhaps this is something else that we might be bringing back to you, because it would be education related, and I'm not prepared to answer that. But it's a good point, and you're right. Sometimes they don't know until somebody says, oh, no, you're in big trouble because you're not supposed to do that. And we don't want children caught like that.
Can I say something here?
Yes.
In middle school with the handbooks, the teachers are required to go through the rules on the first day of school every year. And that's part of what you do during your first period, that you go through, the first week when you have the shortened days, you go through the rules, and it should be in the rules. Now, lower grades, I don't know what they do. I can only speak for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in middle school. That is one of the things that's required that you're supposed to do. The teachers are supposed to go over the rules in the student in the agenda in the student handbook. That's what we used to do. I don't know, but that's what I did for 28 years.
Yeah, I think that is good in terms of, here's the announcement, but in terms of really educating the students and having them understand the whys and the wherefores about behavior related to other students.
That's a good point. I think that we'll have to bring that back, with some more information for you on how we're going to implement that.
Okay, so the two of them, you're gonna bring back?
I think we're bringing back information on 5145.7, the AR, how are students going to be educated? I think that is one that, as I understood it, we're going to bring you some information that answers your specific question. What is age-appropriate education? For the district websites, which was
AR 1114.
Yeah, it's a BP 1114. You are going to want to table that. We'll do some work on it, and then we'll bring it back for further discussion. So you have the option to approve these now without a second reading, which is typically what you've done, but for that one, you're asking for at least a second reading, and for us to do some additional work. So I think that would be the motion on this one.
And also, can I ask, Beth, that we get district administrators, site administrators involved in the social media? Because we should get some feedback from them about social media, what they feel comfortable about, because it puts all the onus on the principal here. And then the superintendent. And I think we need to know what the principals feel comfortable about.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve, minus these two policies or board policies to be brought back for a second reading with more detailed information, follow-up information.
I have a second? I second that. Okay. And roll call vote, trustee Toasty? Aye. Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Chris?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion passes. Moving on to discussion action item B, review and approval of the monthly financial report by the
Thank you. And as we started last month, or the last time I presented this, it's too small and too difficult to read on the screen, but it is available in the agenda. And I know that board members have it in front of them. So this is the monthly financial statement through December 31st, 2024, because we're in 2025 already, well into 2025. So this reports the first 6 months of the fiscal year, but essentially the first 5 months of the school year. If you're looking at the unrestricted, so we start with unrestricted revenue and expenditures, that is almost exactly what you saw at first interim. There have been no substantive changes between first interim. And remember, first interim ends in October. We do work on it in November, and we present it to you on the 15th of December. So there hasn't been a whole lot of changes since mid to the end of November on that one. What I will draw your attention to is in expenditures, where are we? Now, this shows expenditures but not encumbrances. In other words, if I've got a PO out there, it's not going to be reflected in there, but if I've paid a bill on something, it is reflected in there. So with the thought in mind that this is the first 5 months of a 11-month year, because school starts in August, then we would be about 47% of the way through the year, and salaries and benefits are pretty much right on where we want them to be. I would say if there's any deficiency in actual expenditures, it's because we haven't paid timesheets that have been budgeted for, or we are, the cost for our substitutes maybe not as high as we thought. Usually the cost of substitutes peaks in January and February, flu season and the cold and all of that. So those would be lagging behind regular salaries and benefits. The cost of books are lower than maybe we might have expected, but we are also using some one-time money to purchase books in order to get multi-year benefit out of one-time money before it expires. So some of that has been shifted to some categorical funds. Services and other operating expenditures, I would say, is probably right on where it needs to be. It's about 47%. And then the remaining are just little accounts for other outgoing or indirect. We haven't charged all of the categorical programs for their indirect. Sometimes we can catch up with those at interim. Sometimes we wait until the end of the year or by second interim. So those are not done on a regular basis. Those are the categoricals, but they'll all be done by the end of the year. And then some prior year expenditures that are in there and contributions to restricted programs. We made all of those by first interim, so they're pretty much right where they're going to be. They're just a little shy of what we had actually budgeted. So I think for the unrestricted fund, we are where I would expect us to be at the end of December. If we go to the next page, or 2-3 pages down, where you can see the fund balance, that looks just like it did for first interim. For unrestricted. There's no difference in the amount of deficit spending that's in there, and remember, the deficit spending is a function of our LCAP, because LCAP is required to have fund balances that carry over, and because of the 3-year average of our unduplicated pupil count, our unduplicated pupil count's going down and then coming back up on that average, so we are using and had planned to use some of that carryover unspent from previous years in this year in order to even out the services to our unduplicated pupils. Any questions on unrestricted before I move on? Okay. So as we move on to the restricted side, the categorical side, that will be Title I's, it'll be special eds, it'll be routine restricted maintenance, it will be all of those other categoricals that we have that we're running the district and the district programs with. ELOP is a big one that's in here. And so this one has had some small changes to it. I wouldn't say that they're significant. One of the things that happened between the time we did first interim and doing this report, or the end of December, was we finalized the mid-year CONAP, which had some variations in revenue. And so we have made adjustments either up or down for what the federal government had said at that time was going to be our revenue for the year. We've also made some adjustments to various different supply accounts and expense accounts as different categoricals are available. As we increased the Title III English language learners, when we increased the revenue, we increased the expenses for more supplies and resources to go to those students. So that's an example of some of the things that we would have changed as we went through here. These are all categorical funds. There's a lot of carryover money because some of our categorical funds, one-time funds, we got the money up front and they are to be used over 5 or 6 years. And so the money has already been recognized and is in there and carries a fund balance that slowly gets eaten away. So deficit spending is something that we expect to see in the categoricals as we eat up those fund balances going forward. The one-time money that is next to be expired is Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, which expires at the end of next year. And we are on pace to have spent all of that money and not send anything back. In the course of first interim, we had expired all of our old ESSER funds. They need to be spent by December. We made sure that we appropriately used all of those so we don't spend any money back. So between Dr. Myers and myself, we take a look at, okay, where are we on those and what are we going to use those monies for? And we make sure that as we move things around appropriately, that we are going to set ourselves up for success and not send money back. You have seen on the news in, over the course of, say, the last 3 months, schools sending money back, or more importantly, schools expiring all their money and then having one of those, oh my gosh moments, now what are we going to do? We are also appropriately planning to not have one-time money go into things that eat, and then we have that, oh gosh, what am I going to do moment. So we are looking forward and pacing ourselves on those funds so that the district gets the most benefit that they possibly can out of it. So are there any questions on that before I go to that fund balance? Yes, ma'am.
What are we anticipating or planning for should the fund freezes from Washington actually happen for things like 501?
It's too early to tell what's going on. This morning, funds were frozen. Probably about the time you guys were going into closed session, a judge put a stay on that until next week. Next week, be frozen again. By the end of next week, it could be unfrozen. Right now, we're just watching. So if we need to, we will make adjustments because we have been, again, strategically planning some of those one-time monies that may be used to backfill some of those federal dollars.
Jen has her hand up. Go
Yes,
ahead,
ma'am.
Jen.
You're on mute.
Jen, you're on mute.
Yep, here we go. Beth, we've also seen where a lot of school districts had to lay off tons of people because they overspent on their ESSER funds.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to really compliment you, working with both Erica and Kip and Colleen to make sure that we did this right. And you were running the engine, and thank you so much for guiding us through. And we didn't have to make any cuts, and we have gone through this and seamlessly. And that's a big applause to you, because
And really,
this
I
was,
have to say, it's not me, it's your entire leadership team. I don't
well,
give
I
this
know
to
that.
let you,
I
but I want you to
gave them
know that
credit.
it's everyone that were in there. So,
Well, I know, but we've read the horror stories, and we also, I cannot, from what we started with 6 years ago to what we have now, it's just night and day, and I cannot thank you enough. What Liz and I went through was just god awful, and so thank you, and you have guided the ship. So.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, what else is next?
okay, so that's it for revenue expenditures in our categorical funds. If you scroll on down to the last page, that'll be the fund balance. We are deficit spending by $9.6 million in categorical funds. And that's after $17 million worth of contributions to restricted programs. That's very typical. We had actually planned $17 million worth of contributions, and we have 17.3, almost 17.4. There are 2 programs that the district is required to make contributions into. One of them is routine restricted maintenance, and the other one is special ed. Routine restricted maintenance is a requirement that we fund it at a rate of 3% every year because we accepted state money to build classrooms. and schools. And when it comes to special ed, it is chronically underfunded, and it has been since it was first established. And so the district, puts in their heart, blood, and soul into it. But it is within the parameter of where we thought the budget was going to be. The other $9 million is all of those other categoricals as we try and spend them out. Title I had a very little bit of carryover. We're using it all. That's deficit spending in Title I. The Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, we got a bunch of money up front, and so we are spending that money down each year between now and 2027. And so those are examples of how the $21 million worth of fund balance that rolled over becomes $9 million of deficit spending in categoricals because we're spending that money on this year's kids if we can.
Any other questions? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the monthly financial report.
Thank you.
Roll call vote. Trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Grist?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item C, 15C, discussion and approval of the purchase of cargo van for the technology department presented by Randy.
Esteemed board, Superintendent Ward, thank you for hearing me out on this. We're looking to add a cargo van to the district fleet, specifically the IT department. Just to give you a little background, the department for a very long time was 2 techs, 2 vehicles. 2 techs, 2 vehicles. We expanded, especially during the pandemic, to 6 techs, still 2 vehicles. While the team does, work to fill out mileage forms, we did see the team go down back to 4, or actually, sorry, 3, then back to 4. Or no, 2, then 3, then 4. Yeah. But we feel pretty stable now at 4, and I feel that it's an okay time for the district to consider the amount of travel that the team puts on their personal vehicles, as well as loading their vehicles with computers, Chromebooks, tools, all that kind of stuff. I would say they're on par with the maintenance department in their travel to the sites, whether it's the 3 sites that they support each, or the support that they're offering to teammates at the other sites, especially like when emergencies occurred today where power goes out at Rancho Santana, comes back up, internet doesn't come back up, all hands on deck, everybody heads there to try to figure out what's going on. But we feel that this van will fit it'll add a lot of utility. It's a little bit larger than our current vans that we have. Well, the TVs aren't getting any smaller, so I think it will definitely help in that regard. It's lightly used. We feel that while we go to the sites a lot, the mileage is low. We feel like this will be a very good long-term investment for the district. We think it's a great purchase for the department and for the district overall.
Any questions?
I just want to say, I completely agree. We refurbished all the maintenance vehicles, got them brand new vehicles, food service. We need to do the same for IT, out of equity and just the ability to perform your job with just 2 vehicles for staff to get to 10 sites is ridiculous. And I'm surprised we're only talking about 1 vehicle, but, again, in reality, I mean, I know it's not cheap, but at the same time, we need to be able to do our work. And again, we've done it for other departments. We need to keep that equity lens on for all of our departments to be able to get the work done.
Any other comments or questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the cargo van for the technology department.
And a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Grist?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion passes. Thank you, Brandon.
Enjoy.
All right, moving on to item number D, which is discussion and approval of contract with ITMCX, District Bell Clock and Public Announcement System.
Okay, so this one is very similar to, I think, the next one we'll be doing, they kind of tie in with each other. We separated them because this is to basically modernize our current bell clock system. When IT took over the bell clock system from facilities, it was kind of the IT department at the time wasn't very familiar with bell clock systems. We kind of, because it was just being handed off to us, it was like, this is no longer analog, it's now IP based, this is yours. The facility department at the time also said, this is the vendor we chose, this is we're like, okay, so we'll learn it, and we'll figure it out as we go. And we have, and now we feel like this is the proper direction to take the future of the district's bell clock IP paging system. By adding this specific agenda item that will do all sites except for Mays, and the reason we're excluding Mays is the next agenda item. But it will allow us to still use our current bell clock system, but tie it into what we'll be talking about next, and then also be able to phase out the current system while at the same time not being tied to a specific vendor. This will allow us to be agnostic in which equipment we add. It's a protocol, not a specific manufacturer. So we'll be able to say, we like that one, let's put that one there. This brand, they make a better one for the gym, let's put that one in the gym. We like these outdoor speakers by this manufacturer. So in that sense, it's nice that we won't be constrained to just one specific type of model like we are now. But it will also, and it's not even getting into the safety features and the ability for the district and to be put on, say, lockdown in one click of a button for KIP and for the people that need to know, whether it's officers, to be alerted when a school's on lockdown without needing a radio, without needing anything like that. We can choose who receives those messages. So in that regard, I feel like it's a huge upgrade from what we're used to.
And I know that the PA system, that's been always, I know for us at our district, sometimes, like you're saying, I'm glad that you're going with different vendors because they're not always the best, and you have to really do a lot of checking to make sure, in those early days, where is it coming through on inside the classroom the same as outside the classroom, right, and clarity and everything else, because that's the whole point, right?
Yes.
Of those systems. So I think this is well overdue, and I'm glad that you guys have taken it over because you guys will definitely be able to improve it a million times better. Yeah.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the contract with ITMCX.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Trustee Tosti? Aye. Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Chris?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Moving on to item E, which is discussion and approval of contract with ITMCX for the Mays bell clock.
So this one ties in with the previous. This is the one that motivated us to if we're going to do this, let's do it right, kind of a thing. Mays was the last school that technically IT department hadn't taken over yet. They're still on an analog system to this day. And when we were looking at possibly making it the same as all the other school sites, there's a way this doesn't make sense. Let's see what else is out there. This is all we know, kind of a thing. And that's what brought us to the system I was talking about earlier that will allow us to bring a more modern system. These bell clocks, while they're not analog, we could have analog on their full digital display. There's a lot of customization to them, including systems like flashing lights or specific messaging that you can have on the systems themselves. This will include for the MPR. This will include runs for all the outdoor paging horns. And Maze's system right now is not stable. I'm not even sure what facilities does to be able to get it back on, but somehow they're able to. I don't think they're calling able, but it's possible. No, we're not. He was the one that always could keep that up and running, so I'm glad the facilities figured that out without him. But yes, it'll tie into everything that we're trying to do district-wide.
So I just have a question that's budget-wise. Is this coming from what department too? because it's a facility, right, upgrade.
Right.
Would that still come out of facilities, Beth, or?
It's coming out of deferred maintenance?
Deferred maintenance, got it, okay.
Yeah, because the current system I'm assuming was put in when Maze was built. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's original.
And another thing I forgot to mention on the other one is that this system will allow us to not waste time. There's a lot of times at school sites, especially with the current system, where we have a little tiny office in a building, say like the B wing at Rancho. There's little tiny offices in there, and they want to be included in emergency notifications and paging and stuff like that. Well, we have to put a very expensive bell clock in that classroom, do the cabling runs, when they already have a phone in the room that they're in. So this system will allow us to tie into the one-on-one voice phones that are at each school. So if they already have a phone in there, when we do an all call or a specific lockdown, or it can hit all the classrooms without us having to do wiring, without us having to do a new bell clock in those rooms. So we did take that into account when we did the quantity of bell clocks for this site, so that we weren't, it would have been double basically, the amount of bell clocks that we would have needed if we were going to go that route.
Yeah.
But the system allows us to tap into the phones and put them on speaker and get those important announcements out everywhere.
Because you were saying, in the event of a lockdown, there's sometimes staff are at off-site, or at a training and whatnot. So to communicate to them, I know I've given my district my personal cell because I want to know if I happen to be on lunch, I don't want to walk into a situation that I was never informed that there was, because you don't know where anybody is, and you're just trying to get back into your office and not know to stay away.
And that's what I mean is that this platform has even more to offer, because on top of the desk phones that we're talking about, it does do exactly what you're talking about, where staff can opt into the system, and if the school goes on lockdown, their personal cell phone can be notified via text, via whatever method. But we'll slowly build into that. We want to get bell clocks going, we want to get everything, but it does have those features as well included, not additional.
Great.
Do we have a, yes, I have a question. On page 3 of it, the highlighted part that says, unless otherwise stated in this proposal, the labor and services outlined are not based on prevailing wage rates. I'm just curious as to what that means. Is this wage high? Is it low?
The prevailing wage is usually the highest. So they're saying that it's not the maximum amount.
So they're giving us kind of a break.
Yeah.
Okay.
They usually don't contract
highlighted.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think certain bids that you give out, especially for like federal, or you have to be paying prevailing wage. So I think that's where that comes from. Just covering that themselves.
Okay. Thank you. I think we have a motion to approve item E.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with ITMCX, Maze Bell Clock and Public Announcement System.
One second.
Second.
A roll call vote. Trustee Toasty? Aye. Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez? Aye. Trustee Chris?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Thank you. Are you up again?
Yeah.
You're popular tonight. Okay, item F, discussion and approval contract with Gigcom?
That's okay.
I said it right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I was thinking about this. I think I don't know when I just had this many items in one chunk like this. It's very rare.
Yes.
So this was our E-rate RFP proposal that we put out, and we chose Gigcom. This RFP was specifically for the battery system, for all the switches and IDF closets at all the schools. So that way, these new bell clocks that we're getting, the internet, the one-on-one voice phones, that they won't go down, and that these messages, even if the window is, say, depending on how many phones are attached to these switches and these bell clocks, even if we get the alert that all the power's out, but we still are able to communicate in that kind of a way, you still have that 15, 20, 35, 40-minute window to be able to get that information out and share it with the classrooms. This is through E-rate, so thanks to our unduplicated people account, we do receive one of the highest discount rates. So for the overall cost of this project, we only pay 20%. Yeah, and we had 4 different bids, and we were able to break those down and choose this vendor that only 2 vendors had what we asked for, basically. Or 2 bidders, I should say.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question. And when you do these contracts of all these different items that we need, you do go out and look at different bids for what we need to get what's reasonable for what we need, our product. I mean,
Yes.
you know, obviously it's what we need. I mean, I don't want you to get the lowest bid, but it doesn't fulfill our needs. But we are getting what we need at the price that is best for us.
Yes, when we go out for these bids, because it's a federally funded program, the requirements for our posting, for what we're asking for, is pretty strict, and the portal that we submit everything to helps us reach a very wide audience.
I just want to make sure that's in the record so that everybody knows that we are doing things the way we're supposed to be. Thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the contract with Gigacom.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Trustee Tosti?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez? Aye. Trustee Chris?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Moving on now to item G, discussion and approval of contract with ITMCX for the E-rate bid.
So this is the other RFP that we put out for E-rate, specifically for networking switches. This is the last year of the 5-year E-rate cycle, so it's use it or lose it for the funds, the 80% that they'll pay towards our projects. And this is, over the 5 years, I kind of do things incrementally. So 2 years ago, we did do, a bunch of switches and access points, but depending on the models, we phase out the ones that are closest to being end of life kind of thing. So this one is to upgrade over 100 access points, also including for the first time via E-rate for us, our core switches, which we usually in the past paid out of pocket. So this will be the first time that we've included these in this program, and they'll be a part of the same ecosystem that all of our switches, access points, firewall, the same ecosystem, which makes our support for them much easier. That's why we're able to, when it comes to networking issues, not contract out so much, and also do things more in-house. So we're really looking forward to bringing these under our ecosystem's umbrella for ease of use.
Any questions, discussion? No? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the contract for ITMCX for the E-rate.
Okay, and a second? Second. Roll call vote. Trustee Tosti?
Aye.
Trustee Rios? Aye. Trustee Martinez? Aye. Trustee Chris?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carried. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you again.
Okay, moving on to item number 16 on the agenda, which is board member reports. Trustee Tosti, board member report?
Yes. I attended the Capital Advisors Budget Workshop on the 24th, downtown at the Epicenter, and it's always very informational. On January 13th, we had an outreach at Calaveras, and I do want to encourage all parents to try to hit these outreaches. They're very important. Trustee Martinez mentioned you can come to anyone at any school site, so I really want to encourage everyone to come.
And do you have a report, Trustee Rios?
I went to the same budget workshop and found it really informative, fairly optimistic, but yet with a lot of questions. So I was glad I was able to attend. I'm looking forward to attending my Brown Act training on Thursday.
Very good. Okay, and Trustee Martinez?
I also attended the Capital Advisors Workshop on Friday last week, and the LCAP meeting that was held at Calaveras AAA.
And Trustee Chris?
Well, we all forgot to mention our governance meeting that we all attended. with Jackie that we were able to be at. I also went to an outreach with meeting at Mays, which was very informative. And I was not able to go to the budget meeting, but I did read about it and received a tutorial from Cheryl. So that's what I've been able to do.
Thank you. Okay, and as for me, I attended the LCAP meeting at Mays, and it was from Mays and HDLA. Excuse me, great presentation. And we had parents in attendance with lots of questions that really was good. So I encourage the parents to attend the LCAP meeting. Moving on to, do we have any future agenda items, board members?
I think that we should have a presentation, possibly looking at whether or not in the future that we could see about math coaches or something about SBCMI to help with math, something that we can try to do. It's been a discussion on intervention and see, if there's something that we can do to help our math teachers. And I'm not saying when, but maybe there's something that we can find.
Okay, you want that on a future agenda item? You got it? Okay. Superintendent Ward has it written down. Okay, moving on to any announcements or reminders. None? All right.
Kip covered all the great, the ground ceremony.
Yeah.
I think that's exciting to,
And the Hollister halftime.
yeah, the Hollister halftime. There's some awesome things happening.
Really cool. Okay. Are we all in favor of adjourning?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. A second.
I second that.
And everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.